Welcome back to TAPintoTV. I am Brian Brodeur, coming to you from East Main Media Studios in Little Falls, New Jersey. Well, as promised, we have an extra special episode for you this week. We're going to meet the team behind TAPintoTV, the staff of East Main Media. So first up, let's meet Senior Editor Dave Ammirata. So Dave, thank you for taking time to join me.
You are welcome.
I want to point something out. You just entered your 10th year of working with me and the team here at East Main Media. How does it feel to been kicking around these parts for 10 years?
When I think about like when I came and met with you the first time in Montclair, it's pretty crazy to think that that was like a decade ago.
We must be having fun, Dave, because time has flown.
That's true, yeah. I mean, we've done a lot and it has gone very fast.
It has. What's it like being part of our team, you know, all the way down the East Coast in Orlando? What's it like being down there and still working at full capacity, you know?
You know, doing this and coming down here and kind of just taking that leap, and that was something that our family did because my wife ended up getting a job down here, has worked out really well for us, and we really love it down here. And it's, you know, I enjoy working from home, and I think, you know, you can be just as effective as you are coming into the office. It's just different because you're not getting that experience of going into the office every day and kind of seeing everybody and getting kind of to be part of the team in that way. But, you know, it's just different in ways.
Well, we miss you, Dave. It's not the same without you up here. But of course, we're generally all remote now anyway. And maybe one day, you know, I hope and I expect our plans will move forward to having a bigger and more robust presence for the company down there. And that's certainly what we intended and has been put on hold due to the pandemic. You know, your role over the last at least 5 to 6 years. I mean, frankly, your entire time with East Main, with our company, you know, it really was dedicated to one account. You were responsible for getting out hundreds of television episodes, you know, for air on PBS. And, you know, that era has come to an end. How do you feel about it? What's it like, you know, having that off the table?
The easiest way to sum it up is that it's just different. You know, of course, if you work with a client for as long as we did and kind of that was your everyday, you know, that was my 40 hours a week, you know, every single day was dedicated to that one client. So, you know, you get into kind of that groove of how you operate with those producers and kind of how that team and how that works together. And then, you know, it kind of have that big kind of turn where now it's something completely different. I mean, I think it's good in the way that it's good to kind of just flex different types of your muscles as an editor. You know, not that you're not using all your skills, but there are just different types of problems and different types of work that you're doing. So to kind of have that switch has kind of been, it's a little bit of a challenge just because it's doing things now that I'm not used to doing. I'm capable of doing them, but just kind of they're different. So I think my day-to-day has changed a lot in kind of what I'm handling, but it's good for me, I think, to keep my mind sharp and in a different way because you get so good at being efficient and kind of operating in this organized fashion, which is excellent because that's what the client needed. And now it's just a different day-to-day schedule and a different, you know, people you're working with. So to have that change is, again, it's I keep using that word different, but I think, you know, it's good because I'm still learning things and using different skills.
I want to stop and plant a flag right here, which is, you know, I'm really proud and excited about the work that you've done recently with Kayla, right? So Kayla is senior producer in-house here, and you two have stepped up together to really take the helm of producing content for TAPintoTV. And it's great, you know? I mean, you guys, I'm really proud of that work and how you've both come together and really springboarded those efforts. So that all being said, you know, me blowing up your spot a little bit, right? You know, what advice do you have to that person that you were, that right out of college, want to be an editor, want a career in media?
I would say is is make sure you're passionate about what you do, no matter what it is, because, if you don't have any of that fuel or, to your fire to make you want to do it, it won't happen. So I would say, make sure you have the passion. And if you don't, find the thing that you do have that passion for and use it, and then you'll be successful.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm going to connect all the dots here because, I'm really excited, for the evolution of what we do and what the future holds. And, it's an honor to work with you and Kayla and the whole team here. And I thank you publicly and profusely, for your many years. Dave Ammirata, Senior Editor here at East Main Media. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you for having me.
To watch more Tap Into TV videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel at TAPintoTV.
So here we have Kayla in the hot seat, and because she's the senior producer, I don't have someone to help time this interview, so I have to time it myself. Oh, I gotta do everything. Kayla, welcome. We have so much to talk about.
Do we?
We do. So you've been here since 2014 on the team, and in the interview I recently did with Stephanie, I was talking about how, on your first day, how really you changed everything for the better here at the operation because of your particular strengths and skill set, and how you really came in and could bring so much to the table that we didn't have, and I say we meaning I, like a bunch of weaknesses and blind spots that I had that you just filled in those gaps. When you started here, did you know that? Did you know that oh man, I'm gonna just fill in the gaps?
No, not at all.
Really?
Yeah, because when I interned here, I was actually interning with Dave to do editing.
Right, as he was the lead editor.
Yes. I didn't know I was fulfilling a spot that you really needed when I came on board. I just knew what I was good at, and I just did it, and it turned out to be very successful.
What do you think the biggest surprise has been for you over these years?
I guess me evolving here and you allowing that, which I've always appreciated. I don't even know if I've always wanted to be a producer. I think I kind of just found my way working here, that is what I was good at and what I really enjoyed. And then this year with the pandemic and working from home, that's kind of when I really got that space to just produce.
Right. Let me shine a light on this. So there's a lot to know about what happens here, about operations and the people that people just don't know, that viewers will have no way of knowing. And I want to illuminate some of that. So we really built a huge workflow for public broadcasting. That's what we've done for the last decade. And a big part of your duties for a number of years prior is really being hands-on that from operations and the digital side, with Dave Ammirata being sort of sequestered as the dedicated editor. And HomeGrown comes along. We sort of have you and Stephanie co-produce it, and away it goes, and it's awesome. And it was a great success, both for you, as a producer, but even the piece of work is great. And now we find ourselves in this place. We are moving forward with TAPintoTV, which HomeGrown was originally produced with. And now you're working hand in hand every day, creating content, this being some of it, with Dave. And I want to shine a light on that because I see that combination, back to my philosophy of 1 and 1 is 3, right? You as producer working with Dave, I'm watching you fire on all cylinders, and it's awesome, and so I want to highlight that. I mean, you're talking about it, but I want to put it in a frame. Really what you're talking about is we came from one kind of production existence. HomeGrown happened, and now the pandemic and changes and the evolution of the company has put us in this place where you are, senior producer here, but I've been calling you recently, the COO, really the chief operations officer. It's true. It's true. So do you feel that same way?
Definitely, yeah. It's I always try to remind myself, like, think back to like what we were 5 years ago, or what was I doing 7 years ago. Because I think sometimes we're always, just in general, everybody's like go, go, go in their life, and then they forget where they came from. And I'm definitely like humble of how I started and so grateful for the journey. And then it reminds me of how far I've come.
What do you think the best moment and the lowest moment has been for you here in the last 6+ whatever years? You know, because we've had challenges and we've had great times.
I just always forget those challenges.
Tell me about the high point.
I think the show, producing the show.
No doubt. Homegrown, you mean?
HomeGrown and TAPintoTV.
Yeah. No doubt.
Not that I ever felt like, oh, we needed to prove, or even I needed to prove like what I do. People still don't know what I do. You know, like, does my mom really know? Do you really know what I do? So I think that was it. Maybe that was more like my personal high, to kind of just be like, look, now you can see what we do, and that you can appreciate it. You know, yeah.
That's a real thing, and you know, you've been a big part of that here. This is 40 episodes of weekly television.
Yep.
You know, that we decided to do, and we did it, and that's a large part because of you. So thank you. And on to the next phase.
Yes, can't wait.
The great Kayla Steinmetz.
To watch more Tap Into TV, follow us on social media at TAPintoTV.
The great Steve Sutton. I'm so happy to have you here to talk today, Steve. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, I'm happy to be here.
You know, for a number of years here, you know, what we relied on you for was your expertise in transcription and captioning. And as I said in another interview, you know, the average human might get one show done in a day, where you, at the peak of your powers, were doing 3+ shows. And when I say show, a half-an-hour television show that you were transcribing, captioning, spell checking, fact checking, formatting, and then providing into the post-production process. And you would do 3 shows or more in a single day. And in my experience, that's superhuman, right? So you took that role as far as you could take it, right? And we spoke very candidly about, listen, let's get you out of this role. If for anything, just for your sanity, right? Just because it was driving you crazy. And I acknowledge that. Now, this is what I want to shine the light on. We threw you in the deep end, I guess is the way to put it. You know, you did do a few different editorial projects, whether it's like a motion graphics thing or some different things, but we had the opportunity to attach a full-blown new television show right into your lap, which was broadcast on cable, and it was a full half hour, and you edited a complete season of that, 13 episodes. Now, that's a huge success, and I'm giving that long explanation, number one, to say thank you, but to acknowledge you too, right? To say, wow, that was huge. Tell me about what that experience was like.
Well, I actually kind of enjoyed the difficult parts because it was kind of like a challenge. It's kind of like, wow, making a person who stumbles over his words sound coherent and consistent, and being able to literally know which frame to cut in and cut it out, and which frame to do 3, frames of a fade in and fade out, and the ability to just, that there's a sort of like wizardry to it that, regardless of whether or not people notice it, because if you do a decent editing job, no one's going to notice what you did.
That's right.
But the fact of the matter is that, people don't notice it. Is kind of like it's the kind of thing where you're appreciated for what people don't notice as opposed to what people do notice.
Well, you hit right on the point I wanted to highlight, which is if you're doing your job and making the conversation flow and making it pace correctly and presenting all the correct content and frankly editing out the stuff that shouldn't be in there, when you do that correctly, you don't know that you've done it, right? And one of your particular superpowers is that wizardry, to use your word. What do you think in your time working with us? And of course, I can't thank you enough for your time with us, and I'm looking forward to what we have coming next as we evolve. What has been the biggest surprise for you here in your time working with East Main?
The big surprise is just, honestly, just how it all fit together, how everything just seemed to fall into place, and how, there really was, not just a method to the madness, but almost like a feeling that, in spite of the chaos that could emerge to the surface, there really was an underlying, realness to it that bounded all the other, whether or not, we were consciously aware of it.
We have a theme here at East Main of opportunity, right? Of always opening doors and sort of sticking our face in and seeing what's available for the company, but also for the team. What's the future hold for you? What area do you want to get into that you haven't done? Because you've edited a full TV show, you're doing incredible work now, cutting promos, just crushing that. You did all the crazy captioning. We know you don't want to go back to that. What's in the future? What do you want to try your hand at?
Well, honestly, if circumstance permits, editing. Maybe not the kind of 30-minute, constrained TV show format, but just based on what I do know, editing was by far, the most fulfilling. And even if it was at times stressful, even if it was at times, overwhelming, it was by far the most rewarding, thing to do. I'm sure that whatever happens, however it happens, I am 100% certain that that's going to happen.
And on that note,
yeah.
Thanks for joining me, Steve. It's been great having you here on the team, and I look forward to whatever happens next, because, as you just said, that is what's going to happen.
To learn more about TAPintoTV, visit tapintotv.net.
Now, this is a rare and strange occasion.
That's right.
You are not normally in that chair.
No, I am not.
So, look, everybody hold on. The foundation of the world is shaking here because the great Andrew Lepley, longtime director of photography and loyal comrade here at East Main Studios, you are not behind the camera.
I know.
You are in front of the camera.
Which is a very odd place for me and also makes me very uncomfortable.
Just to dispel any rumor, you have been in front of the camera once or twice.
True.
We've worked on some projects where we needed a quick comedic element, and you have inserted yourself.
True.
And actually, I'm still laughing inside at those moments. So what's it been like being the dedicated DP for East Main Media and TAPintoTV and, whatever versions of all of this we've had in the past? What's it been like? Tell me.
Well, it's been a very interesting challenge for me because we've known each other for 20 years. Easily?
Yep.
When I came on board with you had I didn't come out of film school. I had been a stills photographer for probably 30 years,
right.
25, 30 years before then.
Which, by the way, is how we met, is on DVD projects originally, right?
Right.
You were the still photographer.
Right.
And my team at the time was developing the DVDs. So that's over 20 years ago, and we met during those sessions. So yeah, you were doing stills, and frankly, we weren't really in the business of filming stuff. Right. So we embarked on that together.
We did. We both came in kind of at the same time. And which was one of the surprising things for me, is not having any background in video. Why would this guy hire me, bring me in to start doing this?
Mistake number one.
That's right. That'll learn you.
Yeah. Please continue.
So it was very inspiring for me to know that I could come in to work for this company and be just, go, kid, get behind the camera and start shooting. This is what we're doing. This is what we need from you. Get in there and do it.
Yeah.
And off we went.
Now, an interesting thing to highlight here is what that work was. We were putting stuff on TV.
Yes, we were.
This was get a camera and boom, suddenly we're watching the stuff on television on the weekend. Right. Yeah. Back to the cliche question a little bit, which is what has surprised you the most about that evolution?
Well, when I first started doing the work, it was strictly camera. I was on one camera, somebody else was on another camera, somebody else was on sound, somebody else was on teleprompter. And because of the pandemic and because of what happened with us, we found out that we could keep going with a skeleton crew, and suddenly, okay, kid, you're doing the camera, you're doing the lighting, you're monitoring the sound, you're running a teleprompter now. And this was all semi-new to me, but it was like, wow, they'll let me do this. They'll trust me to do this, to get this show out, have it look good, sound good. And that's been a real thrill for me to know that I can come in and take up these extra responsibilities and keep this thing going.
Yeah, keep the ship going down the river. Okay, hold on. Stop the presses. You have to explain what the Andrew Lepley food rule is.
The Andrew Lepley food rule states that you should never eat a food that is named after a place unless you are actually in that place.
For example?
For example, never order New England clam chowder in Cincinnati. It's guaranteed to cause problems.
I want to highlight, everyone in the world must know, when a request comes your way, the answer we always get is, not a problem, not a problem. Andrew Lepley, King of the World.
Thank you.
To watch more TAPintoTV videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel at TAPintoTV.
Brian, you are approaching your 20th year in business with East Main Media. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started?
So it's our 19th anniversary coming up, which is our 20th year of business, right? We're entering our 20th year. It's sort of amazing, that I always look back and think about establishing the business right after 9/11, really with the mindset of, that was such a horrifying time, and really that I had nothing to lose. What am I waiting for, right? And to think back to that time and how 5 years of being incorporated seemed like such a long time. Wow, I gotta make it to 5 years, because that's often that first milestone that businesses want to achieve. So, I had a bunch of contacts, and I made a couple calls, and I sort of landed a couple jobs. I was working really as a DVD producer back then. So as they say, I hung my shingle up and had a public brand. It was New York DVD at the time. And that was off and running. So, and then, wow, we made it to 5 years, and then suddenly 10, and suddenly 15, and now we're approaching 20, our 20th anniversary being in 2021. And things have changed a lot, both from staffing and the size of what we do, and technologies, evolving from DVD to full post-production to really being a complete multi-tool of media, And, we've done a lot of good things, but if you look back at the beginning, we just started like anyone else,
What could you say that you have learned over these 20 years about yourself, about media, about business?
The biggest one is this, I've learned so much about what I didn't know, right? So it's one thing to say, okay, I have to learn accounting, or I have to learn more about marketing. But there was a long list of things, still is a long list of things that I just didn't realize that I didn't know I had to know that. the path really was diversification in services and then also growing the team. And so I had to delegate things. And so that's really a great connection, is I embraced staffing and relationships and partnerships that really solved all the things I didn't know. And so that path of learning about things I didn't know about, I didn't even know that I didn't know, solving those problems as they've evolved, that's been a huge key to success for us.
Let's talk a little bit about the team that you have brought on. You work with a lot of great people who you have also taught and learned from. Can you tell us a little bit about the team?
When you welcome people and build a team, it has to be, as we say around here, or at least this is my philosophy, 1 + 1 is 3. You have to get a greater outcome out of bringing those resources together. And I hate referring to people as resources. They're people. I'm a firm believer, I always have been, about everybody is a puzzle piece. Everyone has their unique shape, and it's how you put them together. And I never hire by resume. It's always about the person. It's not square pegs and square holes. It's about the strengths of people, but also everybody has weaknesses. And supporting those weaknesses, understanding them, but also really leveraging and enhancing and nurturing the positives and the strengths. So I haven't talked about the team, right? So we've had a variety of people work with us here, but there's always really, in recent years, been a core group of people. 2 of them are in the room right now, right? But there's 4 key people, and so you put all of these core people together, plus the other people who have contributed, like Rob Sirocco and JP Conk, and tons of you, in fact, as well. Tons of other people who have been involved. It is 1 + 1 + 1 is 100. So I'm super grateful for that.
We have a fireball question round. You can thank your producer for this. All right, you ready?
No, go ahead.
Okay. What's your favorite food?
Lobster rolls, oysters, and sushi will always kind of settle that.
What's your go-to drink?
A nice bottle of cognac is always appreciated.
What would you say your secret trait is?
I guess my music capability.
Favorite on-location shoot to date?
What immediately came to mind was Keith Urban and Randy Jackson, so Nashville and LA, with the great Andrew Lepley. Yeah.
And who's your favorite employee?
Oh, I have to name 3, actually. My son, because he does a lot of high-end work around here. And of course, my wife, right, Sandy, who is an incredible writer and writes a lot for us. And then lastly, of course, is Quentin DeLong, right?
Brian, thank you for your time today. It's been really great to talk to you.
Stephanie, thank you for coming in, and I'm looking forward to what's next.
Me too.
To watch more Tap Into TV, follow us on social media at TAPintoTV.
And that's it. That's episode 40, and we're all done. So thanks for watching, and how about a few bloopers? Sorry. One more time, please. Roll back the tape. Ooh. Ready?
Yes.
Sometimes I curse my writers. Writers.
Brian Brodeur shares his Please stay safe and healthy.
Oh, hey, that's a wrap.